This week on Hooligan Nation, could KISS possibly follow up the greatness of Creatures of the Night with another great record? Would they sound differently without makeup? Stupid quote altogether. Lick It Up is all attitude. If you are looking for a harder, edgier KISS, they are them. Emily? Stay tuned, because you got
nothing to lose.
Wanted the best? Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking KISS. Welcome back to Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rocco.
Well, another fun week of filming. How's that going for you?
Going good.
Oh,
Ready?
Good.
Looking forward to this episode.
So, you got anything you want to button up for Creatures of the Night?
Well, we definitely covered an awful lot. It's one of their best albums. Not a bad song on the album at all. And I've listened to it an awful lot since then too. So it is a really great album. I wouldn't change a thing. That's the way I sum it up.
At the end of the day, I can throw all the what ifs right out the door because I like the record how it is. The parts that Vinnie played on it, great. The parts that Ghost Musicians played on it, great. You know, I was going to touch this in news, but it's kind of pertinent to this conversation. I just listened to an interview with Michael Anthony of Van Halen, and he talked about how when Van Halen was recording Van Halen 3, Alex Van Halen was going through a divorce. He was, sounds like he was kind of checked out in a lot of ways. Eddie Van Halen plays a lot of drums on that record. And I've heard this story before from other bands. It's not that unusual for whatever reason to not get the entire band playing together on the record.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a KISS thing. It's a band thing.
And it sounds to me like there's a lot of different assorted reasons why. So, whoever played on Creatures of the Night, all those Ghost Musicians, you know what I can say? They did a damn good job. Once again, I'm going to try not overplay this statement, but they found the essence of KISS, which I really think is the most important part, because you put Creatures of the Night on, just the same as you put Killers on the 4 new tracks and you put Lick It Up on, immediately, oh, this is a KISS song. Back at that time, that's all people wanted. I just want a KISS record. I don't want a disco pop concept. I don't want any of that. Just give me a KISS record. And they came through.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
News. You got any news?
Yes, I do. It's a quick little thing off of Loudwire. Tommy Lee, it's a recent news with the fires that are going on in California. This is a statement from Tommy Lee. He's sick of seeing his fellow musicians promote themselves online amid the Southern California wildfires. The Motley Crue drummer voiced his disdain for practice in Instagram post, which you can see below. Makes me effing sick to see most people just carrying on posting on lame ass social media, he wrote. Guys, right now, nobody gives a flying F what your record drops or the next concert is. So many people are in the middle of the biggest disasters of all time. I get that some comic relief is always needed, but Jesus Christ, leave it alone and maybe just stop and see who needs help right now. Thought it was interesting because Tommy's always kind of like the happy-go-lucky, other than when he was going through the drama with Pamela Anderson, but very seldom do you see him like really going hard like that. So I figured it'd be an interesting news little snippet to put out there.
My question would be, what's Tommy doing other than yapping?
I didn't go that far, but yeah, it's pretty crazy what's going on over there.
I have lots of news. I have lots. So I'm going to start with this. For anybody that hasn't seen this yet, it just came out on Thursday, January 14th. It is a new episode of Howie Mandel Does Stuff. He interviews Gene Simmons. An interesting part of the entire interview was, for me, was that Gene implies he and Paul still own and control a portion of KISS. I thought that was interesting. I understand that business-wise, like Gene and Paul aren't gonna come out and tell everybody exactly what kind of deal they made, but it sounds like they made a deal that allows them to move forward in some way if they choose to. So
Right.
I thought it was good. It was a pretty good interview. I think it's the second time that Gene has been on
It is.
Howie Mandel's show. Gene's always, no matter what character Gene's in, Gene's always a pretty good interview, if you ask me.
Well, I think it's safe to say he's definitely making the interview tours. He's been on a lot of shows lately.
Yeah. He's got a lot of free time. They
Yeah.
both do.
That's
He's not touring right now, so they got to do something. On to my next thing, a huge shout it out loud to Strutter72, one of our subscribers, for letting us know about this Vinnie Poncia interview that's on the YouTube channel Artists on Record with Stefan Adika. I think that's how you say his name, Stefan Adika. It's the only Vinnie Poncia interview that I have ever found. Vinnie talks about his entire career, which is interesting. He does touch on his relationship with KISS, and most importantly, he does allude to Paul's personality a few times, and it's an interesting interview. In the interview, he talks about when Paul finds something and he likes the way it sounds and he wants to do it, that's it. Discussion is over. It gets done. And that's kind of how I picture Paul being. So that kind of confirmed that, let's say, in that interview. And it's not I say this all the time. Even bad interviews are interesting because you can pull little facts out of the interviews.
Oh,
So
there's also an argument to be said. Paul's written a lot of good songs.
and I think Vinny makes mention of that 2 or 3 times that he considers Paul a very good songwriter, and I wouldn't argue that fact.
Would you say that Paul is actually an underrated songwriter?
I do think Paul is an underrated
If you think about it.
songwriter. Dude, all in all, I think KISS, and this is shocking for me to even say, but I think KISS is an underrated band.
And they never catered to the mainstream and critics and stuff. Let me look how long the Hall of Fame, right? So they didn't. That was never their number one thing. Their number one thing was to put out good stuff for the fan base, make good shows for the fan base. But yeah, they never really catered to that. So in some ways, you are right. They didn't. They definitely were underrated in the sense of their impact.
I watched a new documentary. It's called Nothing But a Good Time. It's a 80s hair metal Sunset Strip documentary. It's like 3 episodes. It was good documentary. It was done by MTV. It was done by Jeff Tremaine. Through those 3 episodes, KISS's influence comes out over and over and over again. They make mention of KISS maybe in the first 5 minutes of the first episode, and that's it. But they talk about Motley Crue, and when they talk about the early things that Motley Crue did, they're absolutely 100% stolen from KISS. They talk about early Wasp. You can't convince me that Wasp and Blackie didn't not steal, but didn't come up with this stuff without the influence of KISS. Like I'm just not buying it. Like it just goes over and over and over again, and the entire time I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, that comes from KISS. Oh, this comes from KISS." That entire 80s metal scene was really influenced, and I don't think KISS was the only influence, but they were definitely one of the bigger influences. So
Absolutely.
the documentary is called Nothing But a Good Time. I think it's on Paramount Plus. It's roughly like 3 hours long in 3 episodes. It's a pretty good watch.
One thing I want to add to what you said there just made me think of it.
Please feel
Yes.
free.
Yeah, I mean, as far as KISS and influence, like what they stand for is what you could see a lot of what the future rock stars became. Like they basically stand for like their song Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day. Like basically they made you want to be a rock star. Like that's what they stood for. You know what I mean? So like you can see how they influenced so many people because they pushed the life. They didn't really push a lot of the negative stuff, even though, a couple of the members had, some pitfalls with that. But they pushed the fun of what it's like to be on stage and be a rock star. And you know what I mean? Like that's appealing. That you could see how it influenced so many people.
And it's pretty cool in the documentary they talk about that on more general terms, and they also discuss how grunge pretty much carpet bombed all hair metal bands and took them out in one fell swoop, and people jumped ship, but they came back.
I eventually fell in love with a lot of grunge stuff. Pearl Jam, the album 10 is one of my favorite albums. It's great. I'm actually wearing a Chris Cornell tribute to him. Chris Cornell is one of my favorite singers. So I've learned to appreciate it, but I was definitely not happy when that kind of ebb and flow of the music industry changed.
Music we're listening to.
Yeah, I'm listening to some good stuff. I'm really enjoying this. Kind of found it by accident off of Spotify. The band's name is Thunder Mother. They're really good. It's an all
Thunder Mother.
It's a female Swedish band.
Wow.
Under the genre of rock. It's not metal, but it's rock, and they're really good. I'm really getting into them. They were asked by the Scorpions to be on their North American tour in 2022 and 2023. They have 2 albums I've been listening to. The most recent album they have is called Bright Eyes. The 3 songs on that I really like are Bright Eyes, Dead or Alive, and Speaking of the Devil. They also have an album, Heat Wave, was out in 2020. That's how much I like them. I was listening to the few things from the new album, and I'm actually going back already. Loud and Alive on Heat Wave. Dog from Hell is really good. A very good riff-driven song. Bad Habits is another really good tune with pretty much a bass-driven song. They have a slogan for the band, and their slogan is "We fight for rock and roll." And the other interesting thing is they also toured with KISS on the KISS cruises.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at you coming up with that nugget.
I thought you liked it. And the vocals, there's times where the vocal sounds a little bit like Lita Ford. So they had me at hello.
Anybody look like Lita Ford did in like 1987?
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 of them. You'll see it. It's definitely, I'm sure you're going to throw the picture of the band up.
Well, if 1 or 2 of them looks like Lita Ford in 1987, I may throw a couple pictures up.
They, they sound good. I don't think I'd be very surprised if you don't like them.
So, you ready to get into Lick It Up?
I'm ready to dive in.
Cool, yo. Lick It Up was released September 22nd, 1983. It was recorded at Right Track Recording, The Record Plant, Atlantic Studios, and The Hit Factory, New York City. It's 41 minutes and 27 seconds long. It was put out by Mercury Records, produced by Michael James Jackson, Gene Simmons, and Paul Stanley. They released 2 singles from the record, Lick It Up, which was released on September 18th, and All Hell's Breaking Loose, which was released on February 6th. They also created 2 music videos, one for Lick It Up and one for All Hell's Breaking Loose, and we'll put some clips up somewhere here. I'm guessing they were more important than the singles were, because
I think they were awesome.
I think that's how most people were listening to their singles at this time. Cover art. And you know what? Cover art is an interesting thing for this album because it was the first non-makeup KISS record. They really went simple, which I think was a good thing. I've heard a couple interviews with Gene over the cover of this record, and his tongue is out in the record, and the reason for that, according to him, was he wanted to be able to link the old KISS with the new KISS. Another funny little fact, maybe everybody doesn't know this, but Vinnie Vincent is wearing a wig in the cover photo.
Hmm.
And Vinny hated wearing the wig, and I'm pretty sure he refused to ever wear the wig again. But the wig actually looks good, and he looks better with the wig on. It's a historical album cover to me because it's the first unmasked album cover. The album cover art was by Bernard Vidal. I don't know anything about, but I mean, he just took a picture. It's not like it was some amazing artistic thing or anything, but just because it's the first unmasked album cover, I think it's kind of historic for history to me. There's one ghost musician on this record. Don't ask me why. I'll never be able to figure it out. Rick Derringer does the guitar solo on Exciter. Other than that, everything else is Paul, Gene, Eric, and Vinny. Hit the songs, Curly.
All right. Well, you had said Exciter. Exciter is the first song. Paul and Vinny do the writing on it. Paul does the vocals. It's good echoing rhythm guitar intro, great aggressive vocal from Paul. Cool, pretty basic rhythm, but fits greatly. Nice fade into solo guitar with vocal. And yeah, I like the song a lot. It's a good intro song.
Yeah, the song as an opening song, it comes through as a punch in your face. It's an aggressive Paul song. Got a nice, tasteful guitar solo. Thank you, Rick Derringer. Great drums, and sets the tone for the entire record. I like the song.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It's almost it's funny, man, because this is like this is another broken record moment, but it's like the 4 new tracks of Killers carried over seamlessly into Creatures of the Night. And then from Creatures of the Night, you seamlessly carried over into Lick It Up. There were no skips, there were no bumps in the road, it seems. They just went from good song to good song to good song over 3 albums. Like, that's a pretty good run for Kiss if you look at their career. That's a pretty good run, and the first song tells you, like I said, it sets the tone for the entire record.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. The other thing that's cool about this song, I don't know if you had caught it, but it has a really cool solo, kind of like rolling towards the very end. The end of the song finishes with a nice guitar solo.
It's a good all-around song.
All right. The next song is Not for the Innocent. And that Gene and Vinny wrote together. Gene does the vocals. It's a creepy guitar intro, but really, really cool and unique. It leads into an awesome grabbing rhythm guitar riff. Gene's vocal blend with rhythm is paired up greatly. Great chorus blend with the creepy feel. Yeah, it's another really, really good tune. And there's a uniqueness to this song for me.
And you go from aggressive Paul to aggressive Gene. And this is a great Gene Simmons song that, to me, doesn't get the respect it should. This is street Kiss. All of a sudden, they're edgy again.
Yeah, good point. And the next song is Lick It Up, the title of the album and the song title of the song title. Paul and Vinny did this. Paul does the vocals. What can you say about Lick It Up? Great video. In the end, we had talked about the MTV era. Great video to go with to back this up, to help promote the band and the song and the album. Good rhythm intro leads to Paul's voice. Rhythm in Paul's voice leads the way. It's got awesome harmony with the chorus, which makes it really good. It's great. Another great song.
Vinny adds so much to this song to me with the guitars, and this is sung in that classic Paul Stanley voice, probably his best voice that fits him the best. And it's another aggressive song. It's another edgy song. Like this is just a complete edgy record.
An excellent choice for the single too, for the single on this album.
Yes.
The next one is Young and Wasted, and that's by Gene and Vinny. Gene does the vocals on it. I love the song. Heavy drums and cymbals, power throughout. Gene's voice is extremely cool. Good harmony, chorus. Vinny shredding and ends with a nice fade. I really like the way that it does. And I've noticed, at least on this song, I caught it. You can see a little snippet of where Vinny, you could tell Vinny wants to go farther on the solo, and they kind of like wrap it in a little bow and say, "Okay, you're done." You can kind of tell like there was more in the tank on that solo, and it was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But good, really good song. Really good song.
Comes across to me as a dark, fast, heavy metal song. Just seems to me that the mix of Gene and Paul with Michael James Jackson just worked so well.
Absolutely.
I mean, it applies really to all of these songs, but it just comes out in Young and Wasted more so than in the rest of the songs. I think just another great song.
I agree. Now, I will say right now at this point, I have a lot of feel like the Creatures of the Night album. It was a love fest. So I think you can get the same impression. There's not really a lot of bad takes on this album, but the next song is Gimme More. Paul and Vinny do the writing, and Paul is the vocals on this one. I put very energetic start, rhythm guitar blend with drums, killer short guitar solo right before Paul's vocals. Great guitar solo. The one thing I got on this is you hear in the background at too low of a volume for me is the drums. Eric is doing some killer stuff on particular on this song, and it left me wanting, when I really listened to it, it left me wanting to hear more of the drums front and center on this song. But it's still a really good tune. Really good song.
Yeah, you can tell they dialed down the drum sound. Probably too much, but they dialed it down. Look, I think Gimme More is a hard rockin' song. It's not my favorite track, but it's by no means a bad song. And they do let Vinny loose a little bit more on this song than the other ones.
Yeah.
This is less of a love fest than Creatures of the Night. I think it's a good song, but I think every song on Creatures of the Night is a great song. I wouldn't call this a great song. I would call this a good song.
It's a very fast-paced tempo song.
Yep.
Now we get to side two. One of my favorite songs of theirs, not for like just I like the uniqueness, and we introduce rapping because Paul does his rapping here. So I got a lot for All Hell's Breaking Loose. First, I just want to put on here Eric, Paul, Gene, and Vinny all helped with the writing on this, and Paul's obviously the vocals. What I have for it is I feature a lot of my notes on the video. The video starts out with them in the ghetto, and I think you said in Harlem, but it's like, you got to, if you haven't seen the video is freaking awesome for this. Gene starts out and they're walking around. He's eating a piece of chicken. He throws it down. Just like a gang type of feel.
Now you told me earlier it was turkey.
It might have been turkey or chicken.
Is it turkey or chicken? These are the facts that the listeners of Hooligan Nation need to know. Was it turkey or was it chicken?
I don't know. I need a fact check from the hooligans out there.
If anybody knows whether it was turkey or chicken, drop it in the comments below, because in his research, he did not find out whether it was turkey or chicken.
Yeah, for the record, I like chicken better, but
maybe it was tofurkey.
Is that a thing?
No, it's not. I'm saying it wrong, but it's maybe it's a turducken.
That I've heard before. I've never tried, but that I've heard before.
Yeah.
So the other thing I got is basically it starts out with the band beating people up. I love the guitar solo. Should have had Vinny's solo on the video featured. I thought the solo in this is really good, and I wanted to see at the time that Vinny's doing the solo. You see a sword fight. they should have showed Vinnie playing guitar there because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, as far as the song goes, first thought in my mind was here comes the Eric Carr Creatures drum sound a little. You kind of
Yeah,
feel
you
it.
hear it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul's rap, I'm not sure how to feel about it, but he does rap. I can't explain why, but I love the structure of the song, all the twists and turns. I think it comes through on the music video also.
All right. The next song is A Million to One. Chorus and bridge are awesome. Harmony is perfectly placed. Guitar solo is great. Transition to the fade at the end is good. Paul's voice, it's one of my favorite Kiss songs. It's in my top 10. I love everything about the production of this song. This one actually may be my favorite on the album, I think.
A Million to One, what sets A Million One to a different level for me is it's a catchy Kiss song that gets stuck in my head that plays over and over again. And I can't say that of a lot of songs, and I can't say that of every Kiss song. But A Million to One, the chorus runs in the back of my head sometimes. Paul shows his vocal range in this song. It's a great change up in the middle of the record. I love Vinnie's guitars. In a lot of ways, Vinnie was like Ace on this song. He had a distinct sound that you knew, oh, that's Vinnie.
I love that take. That's a really good take.
Uh, um, I wish Vinnie was more like Ace in a lot of ways, but on this song, it's very distinct. It's a very distinct Vinnie Vincent sound, and it very much fits the song.
Yeah, 100%. All right. That brings us to Fits Like a Glove. Cool rhythm blend with drums. Gene's vocals are great in it. And I also put very cool vocal lead into a sort of pause into Hot Knife Through Butter, which is that's a very, very famous line that Gene uses. And then into a really good guitar solo. I really like this song a lot too.
Yeah, I love Gene's vocals. Another evil Gene song with great guitar work throughout. Just another good Kiss song. They sound very tight.
Yeah. The other thing too, like there's definitely some egos in this band and always has been. And one thing on that note, I think let's take I think their attitude was we could take the makeup off. They're gonna love this album. They had to be proud of this.
I would hope so.
Like if you're taking the makeup off for Unmasked, it's not gonna end well. They took the makeup off for an album that was a killer album.
Yeah, they could have ran out there in tutus, and this would have been a great album.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to take the makeup off, you're in the period of time where they really earn the right to be able to do something like that. You know, Creatures, Lick It Up, they really could successfully do it. Like what you said is very true. Like you take the makeup off and put out Unmasked or put out The Elder, people probably walk away and never come back.
Yeah.
You put it out, you took the makeup off and you backed that shit up with a very good hard rockin', musically tight record, and you backed it up with very good music videos. Yeah, they were on their A game.
100%. It shows their confidence. Definitely shows their confidence. All right. And that brings us to the 9th song, Dance All Over Your Face. I put cool chorus, good drums. Interesting at times. Again, the volume, I needed the drums to be a little more of a focal point on this album, on this song. I mean, on Dance All Over Your Face. You hear in the background Eric, but I yearned to hear the drums a little bit more front and center again on this song. But I love the song. I love the chorus. And I like Gene's voice on the chorus where when he goes he kind of like goes from one level and goes higher. I thought it was really, really a really sweet sound that I didn't really catch on a lot of his other songs. So I thought there was a uniqueness to that. That's what I got for Dancing All Over Your Face.
I thought the drums were great. I mean, they're not Again, they're not Creature's drums. I could have handled a little more, but I thought the drums were great. And I think this record, but specifically this song, kind of proves that Kiss is so much better when they're not trying to impress people.
Mm,
It was about rocking. It
right.
was a straightforward plug in, let's be Kiss. Let's
In some ways, they pulled a Metallica on this album. Let's play what we want to play. Let's be us, like you said.
Yeah, well, it comes through that this
Yeah.
is the real Kiss.
All right, so we are on to song number 10 and the ending song of it. I felt like it was an appropriate last song on the album. On the eighth day, Gene and Vinnie do the writing. Gene does the vocals. Awesome rhythm with Gene's voice and the chorus. I love the vocals, and actually, I think what I like even more on this song is I love the lyrics. I like the storyline in this song.
I like the
On the eighth day, God created rock and roll. Like I think that's a really that line alone I love.
I like the guitars and the tempo. I don't know why, but I just feel like it's a retread in some way. I don't know, I just get this sense that I've heard
Something
something
similar.
like it. Yeah. I was trying to figure out if it was another Kiss song or if it was another song by another band. It's not my favorite song. It's actually I think it's one of the weaker songs on this record, but it's not a terrible song and I love the guitars. There's no way to listen to this record and not want to give Vinny a lot
Oh,
of credit.
absolutely.
He's got a shit ton of co-writes on it. The guitar work is very good. He's tamed, which is important with him. You got to give Vinny his credit. He just needed a guardian and a babysitter. And Paul and Gene, I guess they just got to the point where he wasn't worth the time.
Well, you remember how we did the review on Unmasked, and my biggest take on Unmasked was, and I'm going to compare it with the song. My biggest take on Unmasked was that nothing stood out to me. Like even on the eighth day, I kind of agree with your take on it. It's a comfortable listening song, but I like the lyrics. So to me, on this song, even if the song doesn't completely stand out, the lyrics stand out for me. Like there's so many things about every song on this album where there's something to take out of it that stands out and makes it stand on its own as a good song. And you know that's what I take from the on the eighth day. That the lyrics are what stand out the most to me.
Again, whether it's Gene or Gene and Paul, or it's Paul, or it's Vinny, or it's Michael James Jackson, or it's whoever anybody wants to think it is. All the songs on Killers, all the songs on Creatures in the Night, all the songs on Lick It Up, they all have their own identity. They all stand out in some way. May not be a complete great song, but all of those songs stand on their own and there's no forgettable songs on that entire record.
Yeah, they were feeling their oats on this album. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, Kiss Army, we work hard on this podcast and try to give you the best content possible. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, the podcast is now on all the podcast platforms. So please like and follow us there and give us some 5-star reviews. It really helps us out.
And while you're there, please let us know if there's any Kiss related subjects that you would like us to cover in the future episodes.
On to the stage show. Well, here's the good part of the stage show. The tank returns. The bad part is the stage looks kind of plain to me. Not much fire, not much explosives. The band does sound really tight live, but you immediately you can tell what one of the problems with Vinny was. He's all up front and center of the stage constantly. trying to be the star of the show, and Jesus,
Yeah.
give the guitar shredder thing a rest. I watched a concert video, I think it was in Quebec for the Lick It Up tour last night. Oh my God, I got so tired. I can understand what Paul and Gene have said. He breaks into a solo and you need a hook. You need somebody from the side of the stage to bring a hook out. I can see how these guys were annoyed. Vinny seemed to be trying to impress everyone in the crowd, and he didn't seem to understand. No one's there to see him. I mean, it's Lick It Up. They took the makeup off. Ace and Peter are out of the band. The two stars of KISS are Paul and Gene. We don't go to our first concert until the next record, Animalize. And I can tell you, I didn't go to that show to see Mark St. John or Bruce Kulick. I went to see KISS,
All right.
which since then has been Paul and Gene.
Yeah.
If he would have played more of a supporting role or been
A team player.
if he was able to be more of a team player and be third fiddle instead of having to be the star, and it just comes through so much in the concert video of him with, contorting himself and doing all of the like he throws in like every Guitar Hero move into every song, so you see it over and over and over again, one song after the other. Let me walk into the middle of the stage, let me walk up to the front of the stage, let me contort myself, let me move my guitar around. Oh, I got to show everybody that I can play faster than Ace. I got to show it. It just
I think what's sad, and I think we talked about this the other night, and we definitely will be covering Vinny on his own episode probably at some point. But I think that what's sad is I don't think there's anybody that's ever doubted his songwriting ability. But I think he had an internal identity crisis. Do I want to be appreciated as a good songwriter, or do I want to be known as a guy who plays faster than anybody else? And that when you play faster than anybody else doesn't mean you're actually putting melodic things together that people enjoy listening to. Take somebody on a journey, even Eddie Van Halen, who is known for the tapping and all that stuff. You still got to be able to play with feel and get somebody and get people hooked and take them on a journey. And you got to know when to stop.
And if you've ever seen a picture of Vinny recently, he's still having an identity crisis, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that hasn't changed. We keep saying the same things over and over again, and I just don't see him ever changing. Vinny's an enigma.
Hey, and listen, that being said, I'm a fan of Vinnie Vincent. I haven't got shafted by him. He didn't steal anything from me. All that other stuff about him. I'm a fan of his songwriting ability, and I admire how incredible a guitar player he is. But I think he's just misguided, internally misguided in a lot of ways.
And he's too much.
It can't be featured.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate. Well, it's unfortunate for him. It really is fortunate, I think, for KISS that they bailed on him and moved on, and then ultimately found Bruce, who very much stabilized the band, at least to me.
No, 100%.
Was okay being third fiddle, came in, did his job, well, didn't have to be the star.
The other thing I was going to say too is, and listen, I'm not knocking this person, but we had talked about Vinny another time where we were comparing like the Yngwie Malmsteen, and I admire him as a guitar player, phenomenal guitar player. What song is he? What's his most popular song?
Nothing. I ain't got a clue.
Right. So what, you know what I mean? Was if that's the path that Vinny wanted to take, I don't think he would have been. Again, his songwriting ability is, I think, his biggest strength, even though he's an incredible guitar player with the ability and the skills. But you got to know where to put those skills.
Hey, man, you got to look at it this way. No one ever accused Ace Frehley of being a shredder. No one ever accused Eddie Van Halen of being a shredder. Nobody ever accused Randy Rhoads or Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page of being a shredder. Why? Because that's beneath them. Players like Vinnie and Yngwie, you're great. Congratulations, you're a shredder. You can move your fingers really fast. It doesn't prove anything else. I mean, look, I'm with you. Vinnie, at least by all appearances, seems to be a very good songwriter. Vinnie's a very good guitar player. He just needs to have someone babysit him. The lead singer is always the star. That's the way it is. So Vinnie should have been the lead singer, and he could have been the star. He's single-handedly, in my opinion, ruined Vinnie Vincent Invasion, probably more with his personality, it seems, than anything else. But trying to shred on every song and take over the songs with the guitar work, man, you give me Bob Kulick, you give me Bruce Kulick, you give me Ace Frehley all day long. You give me Tommy Thayer, who are they're all happy playing a supporting role that comes in and enhances the songs. And he did that very well on Lick It Up, the studio record. The live set, not so much. Not so much. And there's stories. There's stories of Paul yelling at him on the stage to stop. Like, when the hell did anybody ever hear that happening?
Mm.
You imagine being on the stage, your KISS, and you're playing, a sold out Madison Square Garden. There's 20,000 people there, and you have to wrangle your lead guitar player to get him to stop playing a solo because he's gone on too long. That's just crazy.
Hey, listen, man, I'm a guitar player. As a musician, I'll tell you right now, I admire his abilities. There's shit that he does with a guitar that I can't even dream of trying to be able to do. I'll probably never be able to do. So I admire his abilities again, but and I know we're really beating a dead horse about this. Again, all that stuff being said, I'm a fan of him and I admire his abilities. And I love the songwriting and I love what he put down on Lick It Up. Yeah, I think we made our point.
When he did great work, it was great. And when he didn't do great work, it was horrible.
Set list. Okay. This is from Radio City Music Hall, March 10th, 1984. It starts out with Creatures, Detroit Rock City, Cold Gin, Fits Like a Glove, Firehouse. Then Paul does a guitar solo. Then Gimme More. Then guitar solo from Vinnie. Then Exciter. Then War Machine. Then bass solo. Then I Love It Loud. Then I Still Love You. And then a drum solo. Young and Wasted. Love Gun. All Hell's Breaking Loose. They go in for a little bit, come back out on an encore, and they start out, they do Lick It Up, and then they finish it up again with Rock and Roll All Night.
How many Lick It Up songs?
You got Fits Like a Glove. You got Give Me More, Young and Wasted, All Hell's Breaking Loose, and they got 5.
That's a lot of new songs, I think.
You're correct. Yeah. And they had 2 separate guitar solos on the set.
Yeah, it's funny. I've heard this quote, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I've heard Paul make mention that they used to call Vinnie's guitar solo high times because everybody would walk out to go get high because they knew it was going to go on for so long. I mean, you could probably be backstage taking a nap. It's a good set list, though. I like the set list.
Me too.
All right, you got anything else?
Yes. I have something I want to say to the hooligans.
Uh-oh.
I just want to thank them. We've been getting a lot of traffic on with comments, and again, I've been since our very first episode. That's the thing I was looking forward more than anything else. It's not for anything other than wanting to like share our KISS experiences with you guys. So I want to shout out to Strutter, which is Strutter
72.
72,
KJ Nodwell.
KJ Nodwell. Like I appreciate the comments and
Dan the Man.
Dan the Man.
And Pamplemousse, to the best of our ability. That's what we think.
Yeah. There's more, and I just want to say we appreciate it, and I want to thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo that. The participation is great. It does motivate both of us to keep on doing this and put more hours in and work harder, because like people enjoy it and they're actually participating.
I tell you what, there's been some awesome takes that really make you think. You're like, wow, that's cool. It makes you think. Even if stuff that's like not necessarily what you agree with or whatever, and most of them actually have agreed with a lot of it. But I like it when it makes you think of different perspectives that you don't. I mean, me and him are kind of used to perspectives. We can almost sometimes predict where the other one's going to go. So it just adds to the whole experience.
And the stuff that's the best to me is like, Strutter 72 watches or listens to the episode and then hears me say that I would love to find an interview with Vinnie Poncia, and then posts where the interview is and I can find it. KJ Nodwell last night sent me an email of a picture of Ace with his parents, because I posted a picture on our community tab.
That was cool. I saw that too. Yeah.
Of Gene with his mother, and she made a comment on there that she has a picture of Ace with his parents, and I'd never seen the picture before, and I'd never seen Ace's parents before. So I replied to the comment and said, "Can you send me the picture?" And she sent it like an hour later. So I'm going to post that in the community probably next week. But that's the cool thing about this. Like, look, I'm not trying to be a star in any way. It's really KISS Army Hooligan Nation driven podcast. I mean, it is like, if everybody continues to listen and participate and get involved, we're just going to keep going, because there's people out there that enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the other thing, like I had told you I had checked out. Like you tapped back in, tagged me back into this KISS world, and like I'm freaking like addicted to KISS like I was back when I was a kid again. I love this shit.
You're welcome. And along with that, you got a part-time job.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming that.
It's work. To wrap up, Lick It Up. Great record. Great production, great songwriting, great musicianship. They sound like a tight, cohesive band. It was what they needed at the time. It's a great follow-up to Creatures of the Night. It's an experience record from the first song all the way to the last song. It's not as complete as Creatures of the Night, but damn, it's close.
Hey guys, don't forget, if you're on Facebook, we have the Facebook group too. So if you're not on there, feel free to hop on.
So if you like this episode and you're on our YouTube channel, check out one of these episodes right here. And also, I did say we were going to do this, or I did think we were going to do this. So out of the entire record, what would be your favorite song?
1,000,000 to 1. I like them all. I mean, there's definitely some people on its tail, or some songs on its tail. But
I think my favorite song is Not for the Innocent. If you agree or disagree with us, Drop it in the comments below and tell us what your favorite song on the Lick It Up record is. With that being said, thank you all for coming out and supporting us. And don't ever forget, if it's too loud, you're too old. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.